We get a number of calls each year from AE firm owners and principals who want to know what their business is worth. The reasons vary, but generally are spurred by one of the following: firm sales, share divestitures, requirements of buy-sell agreements, internal shareholder transactions, or potential mergers and acquisitions. Despite these differing motivations, what is common among the principals we talk to is the need for greater understanding on what a valuation is and how the process works. First, a valuation is a process taken to establish a value for an entire or partial interest in a closely held professional service business, which takes into account both quantitative and qualitative, tangible and intangible factors associated with the specific firm being valued. Now, this is different from an appraisal, which is a term many clients come to us with, but really refers to valuations done for art, jewelry, or real estate. With this in mind, valuations are performed along one of several different standards of value. In general, we see AE firms fall into one of two standards. One, fair market value, which is the price at which the business would change hands between a willing buyer and a willing seller, when the former is not under any compulsion to buy and the latter is not under any compulsion to sell, with both parties having reasonable knowledge of relevant facts. Second, strategic or investment value, the value to a particular investor based on individual investment requirements and expectations. Now, fair market value is derived from IRS Revenue Ruling 5960 and is applicable in many cases where we are considering hypothetical buyers and sellers that fit the other conditions described by the IRS. By contrast, investment value considers a specific buyer, which is the case in proposed merger and acquisition engagements with which we are involved. The takeaway for AE firm owners and principals is that the purpose of the valuation will drive the type of valuation performed, and principals should ensure that the valuator has correctly described the situation facing the specific AE firm. Second, let's talk about the valuation process and how it works. Evaluators will assess a business with three approaches which may have varying degrees of relevance based upon the specific firm being valued. They are: 1, the asset approach, 2, the market approach, and 3, the income approach. Now, the asset approach is a means of valuing a firm based on the value of its assets net of liabilities. We see a number of well-meaning CPAs steer their A&E clients in this direction, but in our experience, in many cases it does not reflect the true value of the firm under consideration. As AE firms are professional service businesses, the value is derived from the future cash flow generated by the applied knowledge and technical skills of the staff, rather than just the hard assets owned by the enterprise. An alternative is the market approach. The idea behind the market approach is that the value of a business can be determined by referencing reasonably comparable guideline companies, also called comps, for which the transaction values are known. The values may be known because these companies are publicly traded or because they were recently sold and the terms of the transaction were disclosed. Now, this approach is very useful, but a disadvantage is the relative lack of publicly traded firms in the AE industry and the difficulty in finding relevant transaction data among privately held businesses. Now, the income approach is a value indication of a business that uses one or more methods to convert anticipated economic benefits into a single present amount. That's a long way of saying it's worth the cash it generates. It's important to note that this method, unlike the other two, requires explicit forecasts about the future of the firm and its revenue and profitability. However, because it relies on the expected cash flow, we find this method very useful in assessing the value of an AE firm for either an internal transition or an external sale. All AE firm valuations present a unique situation, and a good valuator will consider all three approaches and make the case as to which should be given more weight in the valuation process. I'm Nick Bielitz, and I would be happy to answer any valuation-related questions you have at 303-656-6151. Thank you.